What we're going to talk about now is how you actually take Medicare's interest into account. There's several things that happen in the timeline of a personal injury case. You have the initial reporting. An insurance company has the duty and responsibility when they are paying for ongoing medicals for the injured individual and when they are going to make a final payment. In other words, they've reached settlement. That is called mandatory insurer reporting. That has to be done on every single personal injury case along with med-mal. Pre-settlement. Anytime you as an attorney are taking a new case in, there's several things that you have to do to qualify that case. You have to have an interview with the client. You want to collect all the proper insurances and the coverages. You're looking out, you're investigating the case. What kind of policy limits are there? Is this case worth it? At that point during pre-settlement, it's also best you put all the agencies on notice, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, VA, TRICARE, any insurance that's out there, you want to put on notice. The reason being is it takes time for that lien number to come back to you. Yes, your client is continuing to treat, and those bills are continuing to raise. So the faster you can put the agencies on notice, the more efficient you're going to be when you're settling a case. The next part about the pre-settlement that you have to think about is when you're doing that analysis of the case, you want to find out, yes, my client is on Medicare. Are they going to require futures? Well, obviously you want to build that up to make your case more valuable. There's several ways to do that. One is a life care plan. The other one is what's called a Medicare Set Aside. Set-asides are not law. You don't have to do them. But you do have the responsibility to protect Medicare's future interest. We always advise it's best to have that Medicare set-aside allocation done prior to mediation. It gives you a truer value to your case. Not only do you know the lien number, but you also know the future number. If your claimant's on Medicaid, it's best to have that conversation with him way out in advance to let him know that at the time that we settle this case, your money is going to have to be put into a trust. And that's a special needs trust. That type of trust is going to protect your benefits, and the assets in that trust will not be held against you. Someone on Medicaid can only have a $2,000 worth of assets, one exempt home, one exempt car. So any settlement proceeds they then receive will then count against them and have an adverse effect on the SSI, the Medicaid, and the other means-tested benefits. Now we got to talk about what happens at settlement. When you actually settle the case, in other words, you've had settlement conference or you've settled without settlement conference, all those vehicles which we just talked about, the set-aside, paying off the lien, establishment of the special needs trust, that all needs to happen at settlement. The worst thing you want to do is wait until you settle the case to be talking about the set-aside, working on the lien, because all it does is it makes it go longer, which means you as the attorney cannot accept your funds, your client cannot accept their funds, and everybody is now waiting for this process to continue to work. So therefore, when you start the case at pre-settlement, your eventual winning day is at the time of settlement. You want to be able to wrap it up and get done as soon as possible. When that process is now complete, you are actually funding the vehicles. You're funding the Medicare Set Aside, you're funding the Special Needs Trust, you're funding the alternative type of trust. You could be using a structured settlement, you could be using lump sum, or you could be using a blend. Now, technically, your job as the attorney, as a fiduciary, is over with. You want to make sure that that client that you spent so much time and effort with has a good, sustaining future. So therefore, when all those vehicles are created, you want to think about proper administration.